Welcome dear students. In the last class we have discussed about the evidences which support the evolution. So a number of evidences were put forward from where we can derive how the evolution has occurred. Out of the evidences, in the last class we have discussed about morphological and anatomical evidence. Today we will discuss about the paleontological evidence. So what is paleontological evidence? Today we will discuss paleontological evidence. So first of all, what is paleontology? Paleontology is the branch of science in which we study about fossils. Paleontology, where it is derived from the word paleo, paleontology, which means fossils. So paleontological evidence, which is derived from the word paleontology, that means the study of fossils. Paleontology is the branch of science in which we study about fossils. So then what is fossil? Fossil is the remnant or the buried parts, mainly the hard parts, if they will get buried under the soil, that is because of high pressure and temperature, the fossils will get formed. So fossils are the dead remnants of the organisms, mainly the hard parts, when they will get buried under the soil. So that causes the formation of fossils. So why the dead parts of the organisms will get buried and how the fossils are formed? That is because of the high pressure and temperature that is exerted by the earth. Because of that, the fossils are being formed. The fossils, study of fossils, that was first elaborately done by the Italian painter. The name of the painter was Leonardo da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci is known as the father of paleontology. But George Cuvier, who had done extensive work on the fossils and he had studied all the aspects of modern paleontology. So George Cuvier is known as the father of modern paleontology. So when the fossils are formed, that is again the richness of the fossil depends on the type of the rocks. What is the type of the rock and what is the extent of fossil formation, that is again dependent on the type of the rock. So what are the types of the rocks? Rocks are of mainly three types. What are the three types of rocks? First one is igneous. Second one is metamorphic and third one is sedimentary. So rocks are of three types. First one is igneous type of the rock, second one is metamorphic type of the rock, and third one is sedimentary type of the rock. So how the rocks are being formed? The igneous rock is mainly formed by volcanic eruption. So as it contains the core materials of the earth, that is mainly iron and nickel, so naturally the texture of the rock is hard in comparison to the metamorphic and the sedimentary rock. The second one is metamorphic rock. The metamorphic rock, that is mainly formed by sudden change in either temperature or pressure. because of which the rock becomes porous. That we can see when we are constructing our houses. The metamorphic rocks are mostly used. The last one, that is the sedimentary rock. The sedimentary rock is regarded as the richest source of the rock where we can find maximum number of fossil. Why sedimentary rock is the richest source of fossil? Because the sedimentary rock is mainly formed by the deposition of the soil that is carried by the river. So when one layer is being deposited, when again the water will flow again above the previous layer, there will be the deposition of or the formation of another layer. So sedimentary rock is mainly formed by the layering pattern of the soil. So as there is a gap in between the two layers, so naturally this is the most rich, most porous and this is the most fertile, most important rock where we can find the maximum richness of the fossil. So sedimentary rock, which is also known as petrified rock, because it is formed by the layering arrangement of the soil. So according to the types of the rock, sedimentary rock, which is regarded as the richest source of fossil, that is the sedimentary rock because of its nature. So it is about the rock where there will be the formation of the fossil. Then let's discuss what about the different types of the fossils. So what are the different types of the fossils? Fossil remnants, they provide the most acceptable evidence that is in support of evolution. We can accept the study of the fossils, and that also provide how the evolution has occurred, and that is the most important evidence. So that is completely based on the study of the fossil. So what are the different types of the fossils? Fossils are of different types. What are those? First one is unaltered fossil. The first type of the fossil, that is unaltered fossil. Alternation means change. Unaltered means the fossil is formed without any change. So how the fossil is being formed? When the dead remnants of the organism are buried under the ice, they will remain as such. There is no decomposition, there is no degradation. So that type of the fossil which is formed under ice, that is known as unaltered fossil. Second one is altered fossil. Second one is altered fossil. So altered fossil is also known as petrified fossil, which is also known as petrified fossil. Altered fossil, how that is formed? When the dead bodies of the organisms or when the organisms are buried under the soil, at that time there undergoes decomposition and degradation. So which parts will undergo degraded? Mainly the organic parts of the organism that undergoes degradation. So what will be the left behind part? Mainly the inorganic remnants that will be left behind. Mainly the hard parts of the organism, that is the bone, the teeth. These are the parts which will be left behind, and that type of the fossil is known as altered fossil. So this is the second type of the fossil. The third type of the fossil is known as molds. Molds means, what do you mean by mold? Mold means the impression of the original part. It is the shape of the part. For example, if the bone is buried under the soil, only when there will be the formation of the mold, only we can find the shape of that particular bone. So molds are formed by the shape of the original part. Only the shape is left behind. That is known as mold. Next type of the fossil is known as cast. So what is the cast fossil? The cast is mainly formed by the deposition of the minerals. There is nothing left behind. Within that particular area, if somebody will examine, if the geologist will examine, they only find the mineral content or the inorganic parts are more within that particular area. So by examining the inorganic components, the study of the fossil is known as cast. That type of the fossil is known as cast. And the next type of the fossil, that is known as print. So what is print? When mainly the wings or any leaves of the plants or any of the soft parts that will fall on the mud, mainly that will fall on the soft parts or soft soil, and that will be buried in that particular soft soil, that will leave an impression. So the impression of the feathers, the impression of the leaves that is present on the soil, that is mainly the soft mud, that is known as print. So that is the type of the fossil which is mainly formed on the soft parts. And the last one, that is known as coprolite. The last type of the fossil, that is known as coprolite. So coprolite is the type of the fossil that is mainly formed by the fecal matter. Mainly formed by the fecal matter. So when the alimentary canal, so how the fecal matter will be buried, not only the rectum of the part is getting buried, when the complete organism is getting buried, and mostly the alimentary canal of the part of the organism is buried under the soil, and that contains the fecal matter. When that type of the fossil is formed because of the fecal matter, that is known as coprolite type of the fossil. So students, we have discussed about the different types of the fossils. Let's repeat that one. What are the different types of the fossils? Fossils are of different types, like first one is unaltered fossil, which is mainly formed when the organism is buried under ice. Second one is altered fossil. Here the organic parts will be decomposed, only the inorganic parts, that is mainly the hard parts, will be left behind. The third type of the fossil, that is mold. Mold is formed by the impression of the hard part that is formed on the soil. The cast type of the fossil, that is mainly formed by the deposition of the minerals. In that particular area, we will not find anything except the inorganic component or minerals. So that is known as cast type of the fossil. Then the next one, that is known as print. The print is mainly formed on the soft soil, that is mainly formed by the feathers, by the leaves of the plants, and that in that particular area we can find that impression of that particular structure. So that type of the fossil is known as print. And the last type of the fossil, that is known as coprolite. Coprolite is mainly formed by the presence of the fecal matter. So when the fecal matter will be fossilized, when the alimentary canal of the organism will be fossilized, at that time the type of the fossil is known as coprolite. So dear students, we have already discussed about the different types of the fossils. Then discuss how the fossils provide an evidence that is in support of evolution. How can we study the fossils and how can we generate an idea that evolution has occurred? So that is by examining the fossils through a number of headings. So what are the headings through which we can find the evidences in support of evolution? The first one is by studying the number and first one is by studying the number and the nature of the fossils. Second one by studying the distribution of the fossils, that is in the rocks or in the earth. Surface. The third one by comparing the lives, that is in present and past days. And the last one, that is missing link or connecting link. So these are the ways how we can derive the evidences by using the fossils. So first of all, let's discuss the number and the nature of the fossils. The number and the nature of the fossil means when we will study the earth's surface and when we are examining the upper layer of the earth, if we consider the number of the organisms that is present on the upper layer, that is more, and the number of organisms in the lowermost layer, that is less. It indicates that the upper layer contains early organisms, whereas the lower layer contains the primitive organism. The upper layer contains more number of organisms and the lowermost layer contains less number of organisms. This is about number. Then what is about nature? If we examine the nature of the organisms which are present in different layers where the fossils are formed, that is in the rock, on the upper layer of the rock we can find the complex organism. So the nature of the organism is complex, that is existing on the uppermost layer, but the organisms which are existing on the lower layer of the fossil, those organisms are mostly the simpler ones. From this we can conclude that in ancient time the organisms which are formed, or in the primitive time when the organisms were formed first, they were the simpler ones, the number was less, but gradually as there is the evolution is proceeding, as from the simplest organism there is the formation of complex organisms, gradually the number is increasing, the varieties of organisms are increasing, as well as the complexity of the organisms is also increasing. This is about the number and the nature of the fossils. Second point, which provides evidence that is in support of evolution by the study of the fossil, that is the distribution of the fossils in the earth surface. So when we are examining a particular earth and we are finding that in different layers of the earth there is the presence of different varieties of organisms. How the organisms are distributed? If we consider the different periods, for example, if we consider the different eras, for example, Proterozoic, Paleozoic and Mesozoic. If the fossils from three different eras that we will discuss after this class. So what are the eras? So when we are comparing the rock that is collected from different eras, something is collected from the Proterozoic, some of the rocks are from Paleozoic, and some of the rocks are from Mesozoic. So if we are comparing the different rocks of the different eras, we can find that the Proterozoic era, it contains few organisms, whereas the Paleozoic era that contains more number of organisms in comparison to Proterozoic. What are the examples which are available in the Paleozoic? Mostly fishes, amphibians and most of the invertebrates. And the third one, that is the Mesozoic. The Mesozoic era, which shows that it is predominated by reptiles, and we can also find the fossils or the remnants of birds and mammals. So these are the different varieties of organisms which we can find in different eras. So these are the three different eras which shows the varieties of organisms which are available in different eras, that is on the rock surface is different. So this is about the distribution of the fossils in rocks or in earth surface in different eras. When we are analyzing, when the geologists are analyzing the rock that is collected from the different eras, that shows the distribution of different varieties of organisms. The ancient era rock contains few number of organisms. After that, the next era which has evolved, that contains some more organisms in comparison to the ancient one, and the last one, that is the recent era, which contains maximum varieties of organisms. So that we can study from the distribution of the fossils. And the third one is comparing the lives. Comparing the lives that is present in the present day, or if it is comparable with the past life. If we will compare the lifestyle of the organism that is present in the present today and that is comparable with the ancient life, at that time we can also analyze that how the evolution has occurred. For example, in ancient days, human mostly dwell in the caves, and there was no social life. They were not aware of the use of the fire. They were mostly carnivorous. So these are the habits which are mostly present in the people or in the human who has evolved in the ancient time. But in the modern days, the life has changed. Modern man is highly civilized. Modern man is omnivorous. Modern man know the different uses of fire. So these are the changes which are occurring in the lives of the human as we are proceeding from ancient to the modern days. So these are the changes, and if we are analyzing these changes, we can examine that how the evolution has occurred, how the processes has changed, and that is leading to evolution by the development of the simplest by the advancement of the simpler characters into the most complex characters. So this is about the distribution or comparison of the lives in different days. And the last one, that is about the missing link or connecting link. There is difference in between missing link and connecting link. Connecting link word that we have studied in the previous evidence, that is morphological and anatomical evidence, because in that evidence connecting link plays an important role in saying how the evolution has occurred. So what is the difference between the missing link and the connecting link? These two are responsible to connect the two groups of organisms, but there exist the differences. What is the difference? In case of connecting link, though it connects the two groups, but the two groups of the organisms are present. The two groups or organisms are living. But in case of missing link, though it connects the two groups of organisms, but the two groups of organisms are not existing. So this is the difference. This is the major difference in between the connecting link and the missing link. So connecting link, which connects the two groups of the organism which are living individuals, whereas the missing link connects two groups of the individuals which are not existing. So by comparing the this connecting or missing link, we can also provide evidence that is in support of evolution. So connecting link or missing link, that is studied in case of a particular organism. For example, Archaeopteryx. By considering the example of Archaeopteryx, we can analyze how the evolution has occurred, how two groups are being connected. So Archaeopteryx is regarded as the connecting link. So what do you mean by connecting link? Connecting link connects the two groups of organisms. So it is known as connecting link. So how the Archaeopteryx is regarded as connecting link? Because it connects the reptiles with the birds. It means that the Archaeopteryx shows some of the reptilian characters and also it shows some of the avian characters. So because of which it is regarded as a connecting link in between the reptiles and birds. So what are the reptilian characters which are present in case of Archaeopteryx? So the reptilian characters are body is lizard-like. The reptilian character that is shown by Archaeopteryx, that is body is lizard-like. Second one is long tail is present. Third one, jaws with similar teeth. Next, bones are not pneumatic. And the last one, that is with claws. So this is about the reptilian characters which are shown by Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx shows the reptile or reptilian characters. What are those? First one is body is lizard-like. So as the lizard is an example of reptile, so the body is also a reptile-like. Then second one is a long tail is present as like that of the lizard. Jaws are with similar teeth. There is the presence of well developed jaws, that is maxillae and mandibular, and with the similar type of the teeth. Then the bones are not pneumatic. What is the meaning of pneumatic? In case of human, for example, if we are analyzing our bone, in our case, the bones are hollow and that is provided with, that is filled with bone marrow. The fluid that is present within the bone, that is known as bone marrow. But in some organisms, for example, in case of birds, the bones are without bone marrow. So what is the modification? Why the bones are without bone marrow? That is a type of modification, that is because of aerial mode of life. Birds need to fly. So to fly, they have to reduce their body weight. So this is the modification which is present in case of birds. Though it is a connecting link in between reptiles and the birds, but the bones are not pneumatic. It means the bones are filled with bone marrow. The bones are not hollow. The last one, that is the limbs are similar with reptiles. Like that of the reptiles, the limbs are present. There is the presence of the digit, and digits are provided with well developed or highly developed claws. So these are the reptilian characters which are present in Archaeopteryx. Then what is about the avian characters? What are the avian characters? Avian means what are the characters of the birds which are present in Archaeopteryx. The complete body of the organism is covered with feather. Body is covered with feather. This is the first character. The limbs, in case of birds, the birds are tetrapods, means there is the presence of two pairs of limbs. So out of the two pairs of the limbs, in case of birds, the forelimb is modified into wing. Similarly, in case of Archaeopteryx, the forelimb is also modified into wing. Forelimb is modified into wing. This is the next character which is present in case of Archaeopteryx. Then what is the other character? In this case, the skull bones are fused. Skull bones are fused and the jaw is modified into beak. So these are the different avian characters which are shown by Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx, which is regarded as the connecting link in between reptiles and the birds, because it connects two groups of organisms. The Archaeopteryx word is derived from two words. What are the two words? First one is archae. Archae means old or primitive. Then next one is pteryx. Pteryx means wing. So these are the primitive or the old organisms with wing. So Archaeopteryx that was discovered by Giovanni Obduina, who had discovered the Archaeopteryx, and it is now also stored in the British Museum that is placed in London. So this is, we can also see the fossil that is the Archaeopteryx in the British Museum. So it is the connecting link that is in between reptiles and birds, which shows that it shows the characters of both reptiles and birds. So what are the reptilian characters which are shown by Archaeopteryx? The reptilian characters are: body is lizard-like, long tail is present, jaws with similar teeth, bones are not pneumatic, limbs are similar with reptiles, and that is with claw. And we can also say that another character is also present, that is sternum is weak. Sternum is weak. This is also another reptilian character, that is sternum is weak. And what are the avian characters which are present in Archaeopteryx? The body is covered with feather, forelimb is modified into wing, and skull bones are fused, and jaw is modified into beak. So these are the avian characters which are also present in case of Archaeopteryx. So because of this, the fossil of this organism also provides an evidence that how the birds have evolved from reptiles. From this we can conclude that how the evolution has occurred. So this is about the evidences which we are studying by studying the fossils. So what are the evidences that we are getting by studying the different fossils? That is, by examining the number and nature of the fossil that we have studied when we are analyzing the rock. The number of the fossils on the lowermost layer of the rock, that is lesser, and the uppermost layer contains maximum number of organisms. So it shows that in the previous or in the ancient time the number of organism is less, but now the number of organism is more, the varieties are more. Second one is distribution of the fossils in different surface of the earth. When we are analyzing the different layers, in every layer, the layer that is present on the uppermost part, that contains maximum variety, whereas as we go inward, that is from upper to the innermost layer, gradually the number of organisms and the distribution is found to be decreased. So this is about the distribution of the fossils in different layers of the rock. Third one is by comparing the today's life with the ancient life that we have studied in case of human. In ancient days, the human was not leading a social life. He was unaware of the use of the fire, and mostly he dwells in the caves. But nowadays, everything has changed. The human is highly civilized, highly intelligent, knows the use of fire, communicate through language. So nowadays, how the life has changed? What is the changes? That indicates that how the evolution has occurred. How from the primitive one, how from the less developed one, the modern ones have evolved. Then the last one, that is the missing link or connecting link. There is difference. Missing links are the extinct individuals, connecting link are the living individuals, but both are responsible to connect the two different groups. So connecting link, where we can study an example, that is Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx, which was derived from two words. First one is archae, second one is pteryx. Archae means old or primitive, Pteryx means wing. So Archaeopteryx, which shows the characters of reptiles and the birds. It means that it shows the characters of two different groups. So what are the reptilian characters which are present in Archaeopteryx? Body is lizard-like, long tail is present, jaws are with similar teeth, bones are not pneumatic. Not pneumatic means the bones are filled with bone marrow. Limbs are similar with reptiles and with claws. And the sternum is also weak. So these are the reptilian characters which are present in case of Archaeopteryx. So what are the avian characters? Avian character means the characters of the birds. What are the characters? The body is covered with feather, forelimb is modified into wing, skull bones are fused, and jaw is modified into beak. So in this way we can derive that how the fossil can provide evidence in support of evolution. So in the next class we will discuss what about the other, how can we calculate the age of the fossil, and what is about the geological time scale. Take care.